Welcome to the socials of 94.3 Radio 1. My name is Bhaarat and welcome to yet another episode of our series which we like to call Binge Watch. In this show, we talk about TV shows or movie series that you either binge watch or can binge watch. Today's show is a special pick. It's a show that is a personal favorite. I've really spoken in length about my love for Succession in our very first episode, but there's another show which concluded parallelly with Succession, that too from HBO, which is called Barry. Before we get into the how-abouts of the show, I would just like to say it's one of the most brilliant shows that I've come across, and I really love it. It's a show that traces the journey of Barry Bergman, who's an ex-Navy SEAL and also then goes on to become a serial killer for some Russian mobs and then goes into an acting class. So that's the log line. That's what the show is about. It's got a brilliant premise and brilliant execution. So here's what the show is exactly about. Barry is an American black comedy crime drama television series created by Alec Berg and Bill Hader that premiered on HBO on March 25th, 2018 and concluded on May 28th, 2023. After 4 seasons and 32 episodes, Bill Hader stars as Barry Bergman, a former US Marine from Cleveland who works as a hitman. Upon traveling to Los Angeles to kill a target, he finds himself joining an acting class taught by Gene Cousineau, played by Henry Winkler, where he meets aspiring actress Sally Reed, played by Sarah Goldberg, and begins to question his path in life as he deals with criminal associates such as Monroe Fuchs, played by Stephen Root, and Noah Hank, played by Anthony Carrigan. Even if on the face value or surface level, the show might appear as a serial killer show, I feel the show is one of the best dark comedies that we have recently. And why I feel so is because the show blends serious undertones with a lot of great humor. I think one of the funniest characters that I've come across is, of course, Noah Hank, played by Anthony Carrigan. He plays a Russian mafia who is with his antics and is sometimes with Barry, sometimes against Barry, and same goes for Fuchs, who's sometimes with Barry, he's like a mentor figure to Barry, but sometimes against Barry, and about how they go up against each other and are with each other across the 4 seasons is really interesting. The interpersonal dynamics between all the characters are something that I really love, whether it's also Henry Winkler's character, where he's the teacher to Barry, or whether the Barry with Sally Reed. So I think the show gets progressively darker with each season, but this show has some really great writing, stellar direction, and even the color grading of the show is really something to marvel at. And what I really also love about the show is that the show doesn't have too much of the use of background music, but the sound design within the happenings of the scene and what they are trying to do is really menacing at times. Even the intro song is just an excerpt which plays for about 5 seconds with the titular Barry coming on screen. So I think it's really interestingly packaged, and that's what makes it for a great show. Okay, so it's time for my favorite. My favorite is a segment where I basically just talk about what I really love about the show. There's a whole lot of things that I love. It's a whole bouquet of things that I love. Firstly, what I love about the show is its duration. Each episode is about 20 to 25 minutes, 30 minutes at max. Secondly, what I really love about the show is Bill Hader's brilliant performance as Barry Bergman. Thirdly is Noah Hank, played by Anthony Carrigan. I think the show is so beautifully casted, whether it's Henry Winkler, whether it's Stephen Root, whether it's Sarah Goldberg, whether it's, of course, Bill Hader, or whether it's even Anthony Carrigan as Noah Hank. These are the pivotal pillar roles that are there throughout the show. Of course, there are some great cameos as well. But I really love how this show is being casted. The show really has a simplicity to it. The grandeur of the show is not too expansive even as the seasons progress, but the show actually gets darker as each season progresses, and you get a sneak peek into the insanity of Barry in season 3 and season 4. Because even though we have Netflix's You, which is one of the most primary examples when we talk about serial killer shows, or even if you have Dexter, a show which even had its revival recently, I think Barry still stands out because Barry has a lot many more things to say than just being a serial killer show, like I previously mentioned, and that's what I really love about the show. So my favorite moments from the show, of course I mentioned what are my favorite things from the show. It could be in general, but here I'm going to talk about what are my favorite moments from the show. Primarily 5. Firstly, when Barry discovers in season 1 that he's an actor, when he does his monologue on stage and comes back and realizes that there is this angst within him that he's sort of unleashed. It's been a cathartic process for him. I think that scene was enacted so brilliantly written. So that scene was enacted so brilliantly, more importantly, written and directed so well. My second favorite moment from the show is actually when Barry is attacked by Noah Hank's hitman, and they're sitting and Barry's just doing some work, typing something on the laptop, and he sees these bullet marks just coming through, and then he goes down, he takes out his gun from the bed and starts shooting back and then he goes and confronts Noah Hank and the serial killer. It's crazy. And over to point number 3. The third one might be one of my favorite moments in all the TV viewing experience I've had. It's the most brilliant bike chase scene that I've seen, probably. The simplicity of it, it's in season 3, where you have Barry with a bunch of people following him, and he's going down the highways of Los Angeles, and it's actually shot like a real life GTA setting where there's no background music and he's just driving on a dirt bike, and there are machine guns which are being yielded at him, and then he goes and finds his way along. And even the end of that scene, I wouldn't want to spoil much, even though this episode is filled with spoilers. I would just like to say that there's something that happens towards the end of it also, which goes to show that this show is so brilliantly crafted. I can't even stop praising the show. So number 4 and 5 are points that I'd like to mention together. The fourth moment is when Barry escapes the prison in season 4. He finds his way out and he escapes the prison. And number 5 is one of the funniest moments, because Barry has this really trademark humor, which you'll really love. And why I even say that this show is one of the best dark comedies of our times is when Noah Hank misfires a missile with one of his men misfiring, and it goes and attacks, and then they come behind them. It's so hilarious. And I would like to mention the ending of Barry, even though it could be a little polarizing, but with all that's happened in the show, it actually makes sense how the show ended. And yeah, I think these are the best moments. These are my favorite moments from Barry. Okay, so that was why I love Barry. It's a brilliant show, one of the finest dark comedies that has been made in recent times. It's a show that I've watched really closely, and I really love. I would really urge for you to go and check it out on Jio Cinema in India. And do let us know what TV series or movie series you would want us to cover next in Binge Watch. We would love to hear your suggestions. Do let us know in the comment section and share it with your friends who love dark comedies, who love Barry. And we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much. Bye bye. My name is Bhaarat.
94.3 Radio 1.